Skill Based Matchmaking. It sucks, doesn't it? I gotta say, everyone, one of the worst things to come out of recent video games is Skill Based Matchmaking, or SBMM as you've likely heard it called. Today I'll be discussing what it is, how it works, and how it can be fixed. Let's hop into this. So what is skill-based matchmaking? SBMM is the algorithmic process behind the scenes in video games that attempts to match you against opponents of similar skill levels. This can be based on a number of metrics such as overall kill-death ratio, or KDR, score per minute, kills per minute, etc. The philosophy, if you can call it that, behind SBMM is to provide all players in a match or lobby with a fair and balanced experience where no one in particular should be much better or much worse than anyone else. Basically, have everyone playing on the same footing based on the abilities of the participants. However, anyone who has ever played any sort of modern SBMM-ridden games know that this is not the case. I can count the number of times I've played in a well-balanced lobby on one hand. Every single time, it either feels like I am personally doing poorly and so is my team, or I'm doing really well and my team is failing. There's also the super elusive times where both my team and I are doing equally well. Finding a match with everyone on every team being at the same skill level is a fantasy. So with that said, what does SBMM do? Well, as was recently revealed to me, SBMM doesn't take into account personal skill, rather it takes in the cumulative skill for the entire team. That's actually something I forgot to mention. In this regard, I am strictly looking at team-based competitive games like COD or the finals, specifically the finals actually. So getting back to the cumulative skill problem, this is where it often leads you or I doing really well while being saddled with shit teammates. The skill of one person can offset the balance of a team to the detriment of everyone involved. So let me break it down mathematically. Say every team of 3 in the finals is created by looking at some arbitrary skill value of 100. This would mean the skill of the 3 people in enemy team 1 is 100, same with team 2, and same with your team. Let's assume team 1 is balanced. One player brings 34% of the skill and the other 2 bring 33% each. One guy is slightly better, but they're all generally equal. Then you have enemy team number 2, who has one guy bringing 50% of the skill and the other 2 bring 25% each. This means that one lead guy is the one to watch out for since he's twice as good as the others. Now look at the teams that you or I get. Being generous, let's say that you or I bring 70% of the skill to your squad. One teammate brings 25% of the skill and the last guy comes in with 5% of the team's skill. Now, what this means is that you're essentially 3 times as good as your next best teammate and 14 times better than the dead weight you have on the end. So how does this negatively impact everyone? Let's look at dumbass first. A 5% player is going against people who are, at a minimum, 5 times better than them. Your second best teammate is going against people who are mostly better than him or on par with him. While they can probably go toe-to-toe with one of the lesser players from Team 2, they definitely cannot go against both of them. Team 1 would likely also all outclass him. So what does that leave you with? Best case scenario, since Bumblefuck 5% doesn't even count in most fights either because he's not in the fight or he's immediately dead, you're taking a 2-man squad into fights against 3-man relatively balanced teams. Going against the balanced Team 1, your teammate will likely be eliminated, as will one of the enemy. If they all play well off each other though, you'll probably have to face a competent team of 2, but maybe 3 if your teammate dies first. And while this is winnable in the right circumstances, it's almost exclusively a numbers game at that point. Now let's go against unbalanced Team 2. You're better than everyone on the team still, but that main guy can put up a fight. Likely puts up enough of a fight for the other 2 to defeat your average teammate. Remember, 5% Bob isn't worth anything. This now puts you at an almost guaranteed 3v1, with one of the 3 being pretty close to as good as you are. This means even if you win the fights, it will likely be by a close margin realistically. Now the problem here is that SBMM looks at all 3 teams as having equal cumulative skill, meaning the match is effectively balanced. As we've looked at through the vague simulations, this is not the case at all. Ideally, matchmaking with random should lead to teams looking like they do in Team 1, all being of relatively equal skill. This would be true skill-based matchmaking. As it sits, if you're good, you get saddled with shit. If you're bad, you may get saddled with other bad players to make up a weird version of Team 1, or you'll get matched with a guy who is much better than you, making you the weak link who won't have any fun anyway. So what are the solutions here? If SBMM is to stay, which it likely is, then teams need to be comprised of individuals with similar skill, not making up hodgepodge teams that cumulatively equal the skill of other teams. Every team should look like Team 1. The other better option is to take out SBMM to give more variety to matches. You might argue that that's what we got now, but that's not actually the case because, as I said earlier, if you're good, you get saddled with shit every single match. Enemy team compositions are inconsistent, while yours is likely consistently bad. And so that's my assessment of the SBMM we face in the current season of the finals. It effectively nerfs good players by giving them awful teammates and makes the life of less skilled players much worse by putting them in lobbies they are not prepared for. Something needs to change to ensure that people who queue with less than a full squad are not constantly decently handicapped. I'd like to thank everyone for watching, and I am curious, do you agree with my assessment, or was it too confusing to be firmly grasped? Let me know in the comments below. I truly hope you're having a good day, and I wish you all the best. Hopefully you can all continue to have fun with the best FPS out there at the moment, despite the problems I've listed here. I've been Doodleman149, you've all been awesome, and I will see you later.